Hey,
Hey,
good
Rob.
good morning,
Morning.
everybody.
Good morning.
Hey,
Morning, Rob.
Zach, man,
Morning.
I miss it. Zach, I miss seeing you in person, dude.
I miss you too, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is gonna be fun today. It's gonna be like no serious hardline discussion. I want everybody to like almost like just shake your arms out and be free when you talk when you listen here, because it's gonna open up a whole nother business channel for you, that doesn't cost you a penny. All right. And Zach, I want you to say this to me. No referral fees,
No referral fees,
no marketing dollars,
no marketing dollars,
just free money.
free money all day.
All right. So this is going to be really good. And the interesting part about it is I just took probably 2 minutes to pick out properties to do this. And I'm not even joking with you, because I just looked at stuff that didn't need a lot of work, because stuff that needs a lot of work is a whole nother level of skill set or level of involvement, and also another layer of risk. But I went onto the MLS. The good news about tight inventory, not a lot to choose from, folks. Makes it really easy, right? So before we get started, I want to see, is Derek, are you on? Is Derek on? He's not on yet. Let's see.
Man, shaved.
You got that shadow there, Bruce, huh?
Jesus Christ. Well, the problem is it's gray.
It's the COVID shadow you got.
I'll be losing my hair. Oh, wait a minute. I did lose my hair, right?
Hey, Derek, you on? All right, get on, buddy. Bye. So today's subject is to talk about how to add value. Number one. Two is do a really good thing for your customers, and three, make money without paying anything extra. And I know historically, Bruce, and only because I'm looking at you because you're on my screen, I don't know why. Historically, math is not the strongest suit of realtors. We're really good people skills, not the best at math. But if we can calculate 6% on a commission, we can figure out how to make this work. All right.
That's a good way to look at it. Yes.
So let me just see who's in our audience here. So I see Gary Nagurka. You mind if I call on you for a quick second, Gary? Gary?
Yes.
So Gary,
now I'm fine. Thank you.
So
yeah, I'm here.
Inventory is still pretty tight up by you, right? Inventory is
You're breaking
low.
up.
I said, Gary, is inventory still very low by you?
Correct.
All right. So low inventory in what I'm doing is actually a good thing, because you don't have a lot to choose from, right? And we talked about probably a year ago how there is still inventory. It just doesn't sit on the shelves long, right? And now if you go to the store, you kind of understand, like, the shelves are clear, houses are cleared out, but people are buying them because there's more houses sold. So with low inventory, do you think that there's a lot of good investments in your local market, Gary?
I mean, if for an investor,
Yeah.
talking. I mean, I personally wouldn't say that. They're buying probably way over what the normal market would be, and they may not ever make up that amount on a resale. And also, interest rates have been going up. I mean, they're still lower, but we're almost at like 2005 prices.
Right. So, but let me ask you, what do you think has gone up more, the price of a car or the price of a home in percentage?
Price of a car.
Price of a car is crazy because there's no inventory, right? Everything is gone now, right?
Correct.
So homes, if you look at the macro, and this is not what we do, and you know, I had to get out of my comfort zone to do this because like we're so into the local area, and I think it's discomforting to see prices go up so much, especially people who've been in the market for a while, right? Because we remember what happened that wasn't so good many years ago, right, Gary? This price
Yeah.
inflation caused a pretty big crash. But I'm gonna go to any of our lenders on here. Is any lender on with us now? Bruce, you there still?
I'm here, man. Andy.
So how are the lending standards now compared to 2007 or 8?
Well, I mean, 2007 or 8 was a little crazy. You know, it was, wow. I'm not sure of that question. I mean, 2007, 8, you could have a pulse and get a mortgage. So they're certainly not the same way they were. But what I can tell you is that there's a lot of liquidity and there's a lot of money available for investments. And, you know, to Gary's point, although I don't disagree, I actually do disagree. And who doesn't want to buy low and sell high, right? But when you look at it from an investment standpoint, if you're laying out $30,000 to buy a $300,000 property, and if you could get 10% return on that 30,000 by keeping it invested, you pick up $3,000. But if you could pick up a $300,000 asset and you can make a 5% return, you're talking about, you know, numbers over 5 or 6 years that almost make your entire investment, even if the market changes, work out. You know, you'll make tons of money. You make about a 30% return on that same 30,000 if a property goes up 5% a year. So to me, I feel like people that invest, there's always right times to invest. You know, there's some where you know, if you're looking to sell, that's different. But if you're looking to invest with rent rolls and having the right return, I think it's all there. And there's definitely product, Rob, to answer your question, that supports doing that right now. There's no question there's product available. In fact, it's a popular product. But I will say this, in 2006, 2007, I forget which year it was, I think it was 6, more than 60 somewhat % of all transactions that were completed in real estate in our country were non-owner occupied transactions. So there was a lot more investment money, a lot more flipping money, and that's not the stat right now. I don't know what it is now after 2021, but it wasn't the stat last year.
Bruce, can I ask you a quick question? Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Because the interest rates are going up, I've been hearing a lot of different stories from different lenders and just people in the industry. They're saying that because interest rates are going up, prices are going to start coming down, but not so much in Florida because Florida being a transit area, and also Goldman Sachs is moving down here, and they're going to be buying a lot of properties at the higher value. But do you see a trend maybe because interest rates going up, values may be coming down a little bit or stabilizing?
You know, it's a really, you know, the variable I think that really makes it difficult for anybody to answer that question right now, including the people that we speak with and count on for those answers, and we subscribe to their services and companies, is this whole COVID, these variants, you know, all this stuff that's going on. You have semiconductor issues with, is there going to be able to be products on the shelf? There's a lot of different things. But typically what will happen, Ron, and I know you've seen this because you've been in the business a while, typically what will happen is when when interest rates are risen to help fight inflation, it always works, right? Eventually it'll work. It's just a matter of how long we wait. So what'll happen is the stock market might get beat up a little bit. Things will stop appreciating to that level. And then ironically, as a result of that, we've seen many times over the past 60 years where mortgage rates actually come down again because the rates are what's going to stimulate again. So it's kind of just like to stop it and then get it to re-stimulate. To answer your question more specifically about, you know, what's going on with rates, you know, the market is really overreacting to a lot of things right now because of this pandemic. So mortgage rates have gone up quite a bit. I mean, I try to be a very positive person by nature, but they went up a lot in about 12 days. I mean, they went up over 0.5% in 12 days. It's insane. So we're already seeing some of that stabilization and it coming back, but I don't have the answer, obviously, not a crystal ball, but I could tell you that typically remember, the Fed is not raising mortgage rates. They're raising the discount rate. You know, they're raising the rate that's going to, the cost of funds for banks to borrow money at the window from the Fed. So that will definitely help inflation. And once that happens, and, you know, then they're going to have to stimulate again. And it should, the real thing though, with the amount of people is what it is that we still feel very strongly, all the things we subscribe to is that there's still way too more buyers out there than there is properties. So although you may not see that crazy, appreciation and craziness, are all the things we subscribe to say we're still going to see high single digit appreciation rates throughout the country, and we're still going to see rents rise about 5%. So to me, I think it's still a really robust market. And again, those are remember, the majority of our company is owned by Blackstone. They don't get too many things wrong. Yeah, they're a pretty smart private equity group. I mean, so that's the stuff we have, but who the hell knows, man? I hate to disclaim it like that, but who knows?
So,
Yeah.
So I'm going to steal the show back here for a minute, and I'm going to say, like, I like to spend time not watching, sitcoms or Netflix things. I'm always watching, thought leaders. And I was watching a gentleman named David Rubenstein. Does anybody know who that is? He's a co-founder of the Carlyle Group. He's a multi-billionaire. And he was having a conversation with another multi-billionaire by the name of John Paulson. And I've read this book several times, and it's called The Greatest Trade Ever because this impacted me immensely. He was the one when all the companies like AIG were going out of business. They were going out of business because they sold mortgage derivatives. And the person that bought those mortgage derivatives and brought down these companies was a gentleman by the name of John Paulson. And if you Google who had the greatest trade ever, this guy comes up. Okay. Now, this guy is a Wall Street lifer. Okay. And he's a really smart guy. And I'm going to play with you a clip and this is a very short 1-minute clip. 2133.
My grandfather fought the Ku Klux Klan by writing articles and editorials.
Okay,
I would say
2133.
that cryptocurrencies are a bubble. If you invest in areas that you don't know, ultimately you're not going to do well.
Can you guys hear it?
Very little. I can barely hear it.
Somebody came to you and said, John,
Let's
I
see.
just got $100,000. What should
Hold
I
on,
do with
let me-
$100,000? What would you tell them?
Well, I always say the
Hold on, let
best
me,
investment for an individual, an average individual, is to buy their own home. So if you took that 100,000, put 10% down, get a 900,000 mortgage or whatever, you can buy a home for $1 million. And it just reported that home prices were up 20% in the last month. So if you bought a home for $1 million,
Oh, sorry.
For example,
that's 200,000. On 100,000 investment, you'd be up 200%. And over time, essentially, that's what's going to
Yeah, I can barely hear it.
wait.
Let's see.
The
Hold
more the
on.
house is going to appreciate and the greater return you'll have on your equity investment. So I think the single best investment
Here.
when they lose money.
Can you
if
hear
somebody
that? Can you
came
hear
to
this
and
now?
said, John, I just
Yes.
got $100,000.
Yeah, but
What
people
should I
need
do with
to-
100,000? What would you tell them?
Well, I always say the best investment for an individual, an average individual, is to buy their own home. So if you took that 100,000, put 10% down, get a 900,000 mortgage or whatever, you can buy a home for $1 million. And it's just reported that home prices were up 20% in the last month. So if you bought a home for $1 million with 100,000 down, the home was up 20%, that's 200,000. On 100,000 investment, you'd be up 200%. And over time, essentially, that's what's going to happen. The longer you wait, the more the house is going to appreciate and the greater return you'll have on your equity investment. So I think the single best investment for anyone with that type of money would be to buy their own house or apartment.
And what
All right. So there's a guy that in 2007 and 8 bet against the housing market. Okay. He's the guy. And if you do a little bit of research on him, it's fun to look up. He made $15 billion by betting that the mortgage, the credit quality of mortgages was not strong. Okay. Bruce, you know about those cowboys that made those bets, right?
Yeah, The Big Short is a great film to depict all that. Yeah.
Yes. So here's the guy who bet in 2008 on the housing market failing, who invests in derivatives and runs a hedge fund, saying, David Rubenstein, if a person got 100,000 to invest, buy real estate. Okay. And I'm going to show you today how this impacts and how this is a really practical case. if you're looking to buy real estate to flip on a speculative nature, I'm not sure I'm that bought in. And a lot of the people that used to buy on spec were trying to arbitrage the market and find a good deal. I'd say now it's harder to find a significantly below market house that you can feel like you got equity when you buy it, right? And a lot of those people that want to buy in that space, it's increasingly more challenging to do that. But if you're not one of those speculative buyers, you want to buy as an investment, I think the market is awesome. And I think that if we can internalize and understand this, we can share this with our clients and show them how they can make investments in real estate. And I really believe that they will thank us, because I think the stock market is so speculative. All right. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay, of how things would relate. But
Rob,
yes.
before you give your examples, there's a quote from Forbes. Real estate builds wealth more consistently than any other investment. That's Forbes magazine.
All right. So here, earnings. Does anybody know what an earnings multiple is? And anybody?
Nope.
All right. So earnings multiple is if you have a company that makes $100,000, right? And you wanted to sell it, somebody's going to pay a multiple of what that earnings are, right? So they might pay a multiple of 3 or 4. So if you're buying a real estate brokerage, you might pay 3 or 4 times the earnings to purchase that company. In the NASDAQ right now, it's trading at 27.3 times earnings. Okay. And some of the more speculative stocks are trading off of revenue, which just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So keep that in mind when we go through this example. I'm going to take what I would consider a very low risk investment here, and I'm going to break it down. I went on to our MLS, which is the Garden State MLS here in New Jersey and Florida. I'm not leaving you out today, but I went on that MLS and I pulled up I pulled up condos for sale in Union County, and I found this one in Linden. It's being offered for $220. I think you could probably even negotiate it down a little bit. It might have been on the market for 30 days.
Rob, can you please zoom that a little bit if you don't mind?
Sure. How's that? A little better? So I looked at a condo in Linden for $220,000. Anybody who has access to the MLS can do this. Here are the results here. This is the one I picked, this condo in Linden. Okay, nothing special about it. It's got
Rob.
Yes.
It's kind of blurry on my end. I can't make out the numbers on there.
All right, we'll go back to it. But can you see the picture? I mean, nothing special, right? Just housing. Redone bathroom, redone kitchen. Somebody bought this, I think, for $180. As a matter of fact, when they took the pictures, they didn't even care to take the painter's tape off. New appliances. So I'm thinking that this is not going to be a heavy maintenance thing for us, right? You know, it's a condo. Everything is done. You pay a little bit more of an association fee. Looks like a solid housing. It's less than half a mile from the Linden train station. It's 2 bedrooms. To me, it seems like this is a rock solid investment. So I said, this is interesting. I took a look at the rentals. I just came here. I did all the 2-bedroom rentals in Linden. You can print up a client CMA. You can view it. And it tells me, without even knowing the market, that the average rental in Linden was on for $17.55, rented for $17.49, average days on the market 7. There's one in this complex on the market for $19.50, okay, available. Oh, sorry, it's not in this complex, but there was one that rented here for $1,800 with 4 days on the market. And I took a conservative number and I said, if we bought this unit Okay, we rented it out for 1850, even 1800. It's not going to change the math much. Our annual rent is going to be 22,200. Our mortgage, paying full price, putting down 25%, borrowing 165, and this is 165. The number is correct. I just didn't change that. Would give us a 757 mortgage payment. Taxes in New Jersey are a little higher than Florida. It's 351. Insurance for a condo would probably be maybe $600 a year. And the maintenance is 273. 2% vacancy management gives us total expenses of $1,469 a month and $380 cash flow. Now, Ron Piccolo, a $62,000 investment for $4,571. Is that good or not good, or not enough information? Ron, are you there?
Yes, I'd say that's a pretty good investment.
So if you have a hard asset that's generating income and you're getting 7.3% cash on cash return, that seems like a fairly good investment to me, right? But wait, it gets better, right? Because when you own a piece of real estate and you have a mortgage, over time, what happens to the mortgage balance, Ron?
It goes down.
Right. So you're amortizing the principal down. So in the first year versus the third year, are you paying more principal in the first year or the third year?
Oh, in the first year, yeah.
No, are you paying more principal in the first year or the third
Oh, more
year?
principal.
So you're paying more interest and less principal in the first year.
Mhm.
Okay. And over time, the principal goes up. So I'm taking the principal from year one. Year two would probably be 3,100. Year three, 3,500. So as you pay down, you don't pay interest on that. So you wind up having an advantageous effect here on principal. And historically, real estate has been appreciating 5% or more. I think now I'm not comfortable saying 10 or 20%, but I'm certainly comfortable with the number of 5%. Is there anybody on the call that really is going to push back on a 5% projected appreciation based on what we're seeing?
No.
So if we have just a 5% appreciation, our total return is $18,477.31. Now, if you have clients of yours that you've sold property in the past, or you have people that are in your sphere of influence, do you think that they realize that they can get a 29% return on real estate?
Rob, it's even higher because you have a depreciation factor where you could depreciate the property over 27 and a half years with the IRS. So you're picking up another $7,700 a year in tax deductions. So there's another component that gets added to that. It's another few percent.
Right.
But I contend, Bruce, you don't even need that, right? I mean,
No, you don't. But I mean, it's just so abundantly, there's so many options there. Yeah.
So I am pleading with everybody here to add more value to our sphere of influence, our clients, the people we trust, the people that we influence, right? That rely on us for information on this. I think we have a moral duty to share this with them. And it's not a salesy thing. Like, if you don't want to do it, if you called 5 people and you said, hey, I was just thinking, and maybe you bought a piece yourself, right? Or you and another agent in your office decided to buy a piece of real estate and said, I just bought a piece of real estate and I'm so over the moon with the results on it. I just wanted to share it with you. I don't see how they couldn't appreciate that conversation. Okay. Now, I took a look at a multifamily, and trust me, I didn't look very hard. Went through the numbers again. Here's a 2-family, 1900, 1850. There's 2 garages that don't have any income. I love multifamilies that have unrented garages, because people pay a fortune to rent a garage, and there's very little that can go wrong. No toilet backups, no evictions, right? It's really simple. And usually that's not factored into the economic benefit. Okay, so this one here, two bedrooms, 1900, 1850, very market rent. If you fixed it up a little bit, you can raise that, but just take the same numbers that are there now. You pay full price on it. Okay. Our mortgage payment at 4%, and keep in mind, mortgage rates just went up. Mortgage rate at 4% is going to be less than the rent for the first floor unit. So you have your whole mortgage covered by the first floor unit. The taxes, insurance, maintenance, vacancy and management. I put a single family instead of 2% at 6% because you're going to have somebody didn't shovel the driveway. You're going to have some issues that you need. So I upped that number a little bit. Our total return on it is $760.50 or $9,125.96 a year on a $145,000 investment. That's a 6.27% return. And at 5% of appreciation with principal reduction, it's 28.84%. Like I would say that we all have people that we know that we sold properties to that are sitting on cash or have money in the stock market and they're losing sleep at night because it's so damn speculative. If we were to look at this return here, right? Cash flow per year, this times 27.5. Okay. Excuse me. You were to look at your total return.
6.27.
So if you multiplied it by 27.5%, which is what the NASDAQ is trading at, this property would be worth 1.15 million. Okay. And you can buy it for 520.
Well, explain what you mean. What you mean is the amount of money you invest is equivalent to a return of that. I don't think that's being translated.
Okay. So if there's a company on the stock market, right, in the NASDAQ, and you bought I think it's the QQQ, right, which is the index. Right now it's trading at 27.5 times earnings. So if the NASDAQ made $100, you have to pay $2,750 to buy one share to make $100. Okay. So that's a multiple of earnings. If you apply that same multiple, it's $1.15 million for this $520,000 house. Does that make sense?
Speaks to how crazy the return is. Yes.
Okay. And the volatility, and I'm not a statistician, but the volatility of the NASDAQ versus the volatility of a piece of real estate has got to be like a 10-to-1 magnitude, right? Because you see stocks go up 40% or down 40% in the day if they miss an earnings number, right? And real estate, over time goes very slowly. And even if the value happens to go down for a year or two, what happens to your cash flow? It stays the same. You're in no need to sell. Okay. Is anybody excited about this or just me? So the finance guy's excited. Morgan Belvin, what do you think? I'm going to call out some people here.
Of course I'm excited about this because all of my clients want to buy investments right now. That's what they think is the new hot thing. Yep.
And I think if you buy to flip, it's increasingly difficult, but if you buy something to hold it, and if you are not great with numbers, we can do a spreadsheet, or I can sit down and go over individually with the managers or yourself so that you can have these conversations with clients. It's crazy.
Pulled up a stat. The S&P over the past 20-year average return versus real estate over the past 20 years. And real estate's 11.8, S&P is 8.6 returns. So real estate's got it beat by about 4 or 5%, 4%.
I mean,
hey, Rob.
Yes.
Hey, Rob, this is Marco. Quick question. Can we get a copy of your spreadsheet so that we can duplicate it and use it for different investment analysis?
Absolutely.
And also, if I could get a copy or a recording of this mastermind, I'd really appreciate it.
We can do that. We can do both of those.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.
And you know what? I think maybe if there was some demand for it, Marco, maybe we could do a workshop where we have everybody.
I've got demand.
I'm in.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So,
Yeah, I'm in too.
so if you guys want to do a workshop, we'll do a workshop, and I'll pick a time. I'm thinking next Tuesday at 9:30. Let's see. Next Tuesday how about next Tuesday at 11:30? Does that
Sounds
seem
good.
reasonable?
That works.
Tuesday, 11:30, and I'm gonna go till 1 o'clock, and I'm gonna give you examples. I'll give you the spreadsheet, and we're gonna actually go find some properties and do some numbers.
And if I could make a suggestion, Rob, I think this is the kind of thing that every agent should be creating videos for social media, talking about some of these things, but break them down into short videos. What you just said in the last 5 minutes, we can probably do about 10 or 20 short videos for Instagram on some of these things. And I can see some of these videos viralizing and generating a lot of business in return.
Okay. So, and just so that everybody knows, I'm not a hypocrite. You know, I bought 3 pieces of real estate this year. I bought one of them in Florida, and 2 in New Jersey. So I'm not discriminating. And I think between everybody, the Florida one is a little bit more exciting to me from an investment standpoint, because I think the appreciation opportunity is a little bit stronger there. And the property taxes are less than half, maybe a third of what they would be in New Jersey. Okay, I bought a 5-bedroom. I bought a 5-bedroom home in a planned unit development, so it's a community. The price of it was $400,000. I'm renting it out for $3,200 a month. My mortgage payment on a 15-year, including taxes, is below $2,200. The association fee is $300. It's just a crazy investment. Okay, I mean, and it's a 15-year, so it's paying a ton of principal back every month.
Rob,
yes,
I'm sorry. And when you consider the area that the new Pompano office is in, multifamily buildings are very common in that area. I can see where in the next 5 to 10 years, anyone that invests in one is going to be very, very happy, not only for the existing structure, but for the land that can be used, and it's already zoned multifamily for building townhouses, high-end townhouses like you see near Delray Avenue in Delray.
Sounds like an intro to a great prospecting call to me, Marco. I like that. You got it. You nailed it, baby.
Thank you.
So, and Julio, I'm gonna, did you get the document? Did I share that with you?
Yes, let me pull it up.
Why don't you pull up the screen and just show the, maybe even show a picture of the unit and just go through the numbers for the Florida opportunity.
Can you repeat, please, the time and date of the workshop?
So it's going to be next Tuesday, 11:30 to 1.
Thank you.
And now, Julio, while you're pulling that up, I'm going to ask Mr. Ron Piccolo, if you spoke to 5 people that were past clients, family member, friends, people in your sphere, and you had an opportunity to spend 5 to 10 minutes sharing this with them, how many of those do you think would be interested in buying? And be a little on the conservative side.
Well, 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5, right?
Yep.
And what's our marketing cost for this? 0, right?
Yeah, 0.
You already know these people, right?
Right.
Referral fees, 0, right? And these are people that trust us. So like, I just want to just keep hammering that home. No referral fees, no marketing dollars, just extra business for doing a good thing. So I'm sorry to steal your thunder, Julio. If you want to put it on your screen there.
I don't see it, Rob. You sent it to my email?
Oh, here. Let me make sure I sent it. possible I didn't.
Yeah, if we can get a copy of that Excel program that you have, it would be good.
What I'll
We
do,
could probably do one ourselves, you know. And do the numbers ourselves on our market, because your market's a little different than ours, but the numbers are still pretty much the same.
okay, so Julio, you got it now?
I got it now.
All right, why don't you share your screen and let's take a look at Southeast Florida.
Okay, can you see it?
You got to share your screen. We can't see it yet.
Hold on a second. Hey, can everybody see it?
Yep.
We got you, man. We see it.
Yeah, but this is not the property, Rob.
There's tabs on the bottom.
Okay. Oh, yeah, here it is. Like that. Beautiful. Okay. Basically, what Rob asked me this morning was to pull out some properties in South Florida, more or less a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit for investment. So what I did was I conducted a search of what was available in today's market. Several cities, picking out Pompano Beach, and I got a list of properties there, area some of us would know being here in Florida, called Palmier Gardens. Okay. Out of those properties, there was one unit available, this 4321 West McNabb, for $180,000. Okay. And when I took a calculation of more or less the rents in that area, an average of $1,850. So the purchase price would be $180,000. $1,850 would be your rent. Your annual would be $22,200. Okay. And working out the numbers, as Rob put it on the spreadsheet, as he did before, with all the other examples, you get a cash flow after putting all the items taken into account of $545.49. And now, granted, I've also seen here in South Florida, there's been units in a different complex that are lesser in demand than this complex that have been upgraded, and the rents right now were $1,600, but one particular unit's renting for $2,000 because of the fact it was upgraded. So the demand is very high here. The rents are like through the roof. We have people overbidding on any rental property right now, and they're flying off the shelf.
So Julio, so just to be clear,
Mm-hmm.
you're investing 45,000 down, 5,400 in closing costs, total of around 50,000, and you're getting almost 6,600 a year in cash flow, right?
Correct.
So you're getting 12% return in cash on this, okay? And if you factor in a 5% appreciation and the principal that you're paying off, that's a 37.02% return on a piece of real estate, which is something that you can go down. You can see it's not speculative. It will never go to zero. If there's a financial fraud, it doesn't go to zero because you own the real estate. Okay. It almost doesn't seem legal. What do you think, Bruce? Like,
it's funny. I have 3 notes here. I think the depreciation thing I mentioned is huge because if you could depreciate property 27.5%, that's a deduction you get. I think that people need to understand, real estate professionals, we understand it, or maybe we don't, but homeowners need to understand qualifying for an investment property is completely different than qualifying for a home you're going to live in. When you qualify for an investment property, when you look at a home like this that has a return like this, if you put a 25% vacancy factor in it, meaning if you use only 75% of what's coming in to offset of what's going to go out, as long as the property covers itself or it has a slight loss, all you have to qualify for is that slight loss. So if you have a property that's positive cash flow and it's only losing a few $100s on a 25% vacancy factor, you could be living at home with mom and making 20 grand a year, and you still qualify because that property carries itself. So, you know, it's really easy to get involved in that too. It's easy for people to get involved in investment property because the qualification pieces are so different.
So again, and I want to reiterate that, you know, I gave Julio 7 minutes to find this property. I spent about 5 minutes on each property, and it took me about 5 minutes to do the sheet. So this is not super duper hard. You know, you can certainly get a lot more juiced numbers if you want to look at something that maybe needs a little bit of work. But I think, you know, for example purposes here, this is designed to talk to, you know, your W-2 employee who, you know, maybe puts money away in a 401k, you know, maybe because they missed 2 vacations, they have some money saved up, or maybe they can access a home equity loan to buy a piece of real estate. And this would really be life-changing, in my opinion. If you have people in your sphere of influence, and I want you to listen to this really clear, you know, what percentage of the people that are in your sphere of influence might have, you know, children under the age of 12? Just give me a percentage. What do you think, Julio? Is it a third, half, 2/3?
Like about a third at least.
So at least a third, right? What if you could get somebody to buy a piece of real estate and have the strategy of selling it when their kids go to college? You can fund their whole education, right? And if you have a home now, there's a good chance you could take a home equity loan, even borrow the down payment to buy it, right? And pay for your kids' college. You know, you have 3 kids, buy 3 homes, right? Because this is the best possible hedge against inflation. Okay. And when we're in real estate, okay, I know inflation's painful when we got to pay more for chicken wings and gasoline, but if you're in real estate, inflation is good. If you're a real estate agent and prices are going up and you get paid a commission on homes, inflation is positive, right? If you're in the game of owning hard assets and inflation happens, so 7% inflation, the highest in 40 years, is not comforting to most people. But if you're owning real estate and the value is going up, folks, this is the best thing that you can be in. And I'm going to say you have a moral obligation, if you care about your clients and your friends and your sphere of influence, to have this conversation with them. Okay. You know, Bruce, maybe we can put something in there factoring in the benefit of depreciation. And I've even seen some clients, and I haven't dealt with them myself because I don't sell houses, but I've heard of clients buying real estate in their retirement account.
Yeah, you could, I mean, I was just calculating some numbers, and unfortunately this example doesn't work, but if somebody tapped their 401k for $50,000, took a loan against their 401k, the amount of years that you're usually allowed to go out and extend your 401k loan that you're paying yourself back on would be about $710 a month. So it doesn't cover quite what the cash flow would be, but there are examples where it would. The other thing that I think is worth mentioning is that, you know, you don't have to take this gain each year. Rob mentioned the investment property that he did was based on a 15-year term. So when you do a 15-year term, there are some people that would say, hey, look, the last thing in the world I need is, like in this example, is a $500 a month positive cash flow. That means I have $6,000 a year that I have to pay income tax on. What some people do is they take a 15-year term so that they have no income they pay tax on, and they pay the loan down rapidly so that 7-8 years down the road, they could pull all the cash out of the property tax-free because the property is almost paid off. And that's tax-free money, which magnifies the return even more. I'm sorry if that didn't make sense for everybody, but what I'm saying is that from a financial standpoint, there are so many ways that you could tailor this to help meet a client's needs, whether it's college down the line. Whether somebody say, I don't need a cash flow right now. I just want to put 25% away. I want to put 50 grand away and pay for all my kids' college. If that property works on a 15-year term, he could cash out in 10 years, or she could cash out in 10, 12 years and have all the money they need for the college. So there's a lot of different ways to get there. And I think from a real estate professional, it just gives us another opportunity to prospect. The only downside is time. This is going to resonate with some people and it's not going to resonate with others. But as professionals and having something to talk about other than, you know, multiple offers and all the things we have, this is a differentiator. There's not a lot of other real estate professionals, unless they specialize in this with investors, that are talking about this, bringing it to the normal real estate consumer. So I think it's a good, it's just my opinion, but I think it's a great way to get people excited to have something to talk about. Someone mentioned 1031 exchange. There's all kinds of stuff. When you sell investment to investment, you have 1031 exchange. There's so many pieces. I don't want to get into it. There's too many to talk about, but there's a lot of wrinkles to this thing.
So Bruce,
On the 401k, depending on what corporation you work for, a lot of times the money you borrow from a 401k, the interest that you pay on it goes back into your account. So it's virtually free money.
That's always the case, actually. It's your money. If you're vested, it's your return. So that's a really good point as well. Again, there's so many pieces. You're paying yourself interest on yourself pre-tax. It's crazy.
So I'm gonna I'm gonna look for somebody who's very intelligent on this call here. There's so many options. I'm gonna say Jay Latanzio. Are you able to talk there, Jay?
Yes.
All right, and I see Bobby Golden's right next to him. Bobby, if you can unmute yourself. So, gentlemen, why do you think investment advisors don't recommend we buy real estate?
Because they don't make any money on it. What do you mean?
Of course,
that's simple.
There's no incentive for them to direct us to buy real estate because that's not where they make money.
Well, and yeah, what I tell my clients, or what I tell whatever first-time home buyers, is that if they're invested in a 401k and they're paying rent, they're doing something wrong. They need to take their money out of their 401k and invest it in a piece of real estate, because 9 out of 10 people in America become millionaires in what business? Real estate. So there's no point in having money in a 401k if you're wasting money on rent. Okay. And it's amazing because I sit there looking at these people like, you're not very smart, are you? Because as an investor, you're not getting much return having your stuff in the stock market if you're paying rent, because rent is expensive and you get nothing for it. So the best thing you can do, and this is, as you pointed out, me talking to my regular clients, if you're going to have investment, okay, so I have a client now who's buying a new house and he's got a condo, okay, and he's like, well, I don't know, should I rent it out or should I sell it? And I'm like, well, we're at the peak of the market right now, so what's the theory of buy low and sell high? We're there, so sell it and reinvest that money somewhere else. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'll buy a place in Florida and do Airbnb. And I said, that's a much better return on your investment that you're going to get on your condo here in Piscataway. You get the most for it right now. You bought it low, okay, at whatever, 283, I think is what we bought it for. We're going to sell it for 400, okay, in 5 years. So he's going to clear 100 grand out of it, and he's going to take and reinvest that money somewhere else where he gets a better rate of return than here in New Jersey, which is what I try to advise people that. How do I say it? As an agent, I have to realize that I am a financial advisor, and the advice I give regarding real estate is the easiest advice to give, because I'm never going to be wrong. Okay, it's the easiest thing because there's always going to be a return. It's the best place to put your money. Real estate is how people become millionaires. And so advising people of that is part of my obligation, helping families change their realities and move on to a better path for both themselves, their family, their children, okay, by investing in real estate. It's kind of my obligation.
So Jay, how many homes have you sold in the past year to a client of yours for an investment?
I don't know that I have recently.
Okay.
Because they think I'm trying to sell. They think I'm trying to sell them something.
Right.
But the reality is, am I working with a bunch of them? A bunch of them have me, doing the old realtor thing. Hey, find me a property to buy.
Jay, you're right here a lot of the time. What we could do is, as an example, we could have a client come in, make a presentation, and there's no use in, like, if you're ready, there's property out there that you can buy that will have this return. And you're not living in it. So it's a financial investment. It's not a emotional investment. And I would tell you that if somebody sees it, they're going to do it. And I'm going to ask, is there anybody that had reached out to their clients? We have about 80 people on the call. Anybody reach out to their client, say, hey, I think you should buy real estate and sell more than 2 pieces of investment property to your clients or sphere of influence? Is there anybody out of 80 people that have done that? And I'm not surprised that there aren't any. Some of us might have had people come to us say, hey, I want to buy an investment property and maybe even share that with you. But that's a different game. Okay. I think that, and Colleen, I want you to keep repeating this. I think we have a moral obligation to the people that we know and trust us to invite them and let them know that this is an option that they have. Okay. It's like if somebody has an option to buy a home warranty and then their water heater breaks the day after they close. Do we feel good about that? I'd say hell no, right? Now, what if we go to a cocktail party and, you know, Jay, there are people who are your clients and who aren't your clients, and the people who aren't your clients, their agents telling them that, hey, have you considered buying real estate? And they've made hundreds of thousands, if not millions, by buying real estate. And your client's like, Jay, how come you never told me? How would that make you feel?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That our job is to communicate that to people.
Right.
That
And
the best
and
investment they can make in themselves and in their families and in their futures is in real estate. It's not in 401ks. It's not in the stock market. It's in real estate. That's best return on your money always. And it always has been that way.
So somebody said one out of five might be interested in doing it, Jay. And I think that, you know, and it's not even about selling them. It's about, hey, I just wanted you to be aware of what investment opportunities are available locally in your market. Okay. And if 4 out of 5 people say no, at least that, you know, when they're at that cocktail party with some friends that made a lot of money in real estate, they can say, you know what, Jay, he mentioned it to me and I can kick myself I didn't do it. Right. And other people will be at that cocktail party saying, I can't, oh my God, Jay's like he's a godsend because my kids are going to college and I don't have to pay a penny. Right? Those are the stories that you want to see in the future, right?
Correct. That's how we have raving fans.
So,
you know, it's another good idea too is when you close on a sale and the seller is making a chunk of money out of the property, is to probably now would be a good time to tell them, you know, you might want to invest some of this property in real estate. So that might be a good opportunity to do it.
Well, a 1031 exchange, so they don't have to pay capital gains.
Exactly. Yeah.
But here's something else that you probably don't realize, but you know, when you sell a piece of real estate that you owned over a year, and I'm not a tax advisor, but I think capital gains are still a lot less than regular income. So you get advantageous tax treatment when you sell a piece of real estate.
But to Ron's point as well, you can net out money, you know, still, Jay, you can still net out money and you don't have to deal with the 1031 exchange because 1031 exchange is based on price to price. So if you had somebody that did real well and they're going to buy another, there still could be liquidity there so they could do it without even having to goof around with that.
Okay.
So
the
Lorraine,
1031 exchange is also only for an investment property. People that are downsizing that have cash should be buying an investment property.
Exactly.
So when you, and Ellen, that's a great point, but when you sell your house, I still think you have the 250, 500 for married exemption when you sell your house. So if you make $500,000, it's tax free. Okay. At the federal level. So everything, you know, everything here is just.
Rob, also the other thing is stepped up gains depending upon, you know, where people are. And that's another conversation, but the stepped up gains on investment properties, maybe, you know, depending upon where people are in their life cycle. This is going to be recorded because I was like so fussing around the first part. So this is all recorded and you're going to share the resources. Yeah.
Yes, it's recorded.
And to your point, Ellen, your mortgage rate's fixed for that period of time. Your rental values go up if they're going to appreciate 5% of your rental values. That's part of a step up as well. So the asset will depreciate and the debt will go down and the return on the rent goes up. So there's so many wrinkles to this thing.
So and Bruce, almost every one of those wrinkles is positive, right? Because
I mean, the only thing that's negative.
Why we have you. That's why we have you, so I don't have to remember all the wrinkles. You can be my ironer, and I just go talk to Bruce.
And the only negative, guys, is the obvious elephant in the room. I mean, we all sell real estate. The negative is if the market crashes and people get pummeled. But the reality is that, and listen, we've all been through that, right? But the reality is that if you're getting that kind of return, and to even, you know, and you're getting a 30% return on your money, you only need to go 3-4 years. Even if the market gets pummeled, you're not going to lose 30% equity. I mean, you're still going to be okay. These are retention properties that you plan on keeping. These are not flip properties. That's the difference.
I mean, look at the prices of properties now, guys. You know,
So
if people have hung on to their property, it's worth that much more now. And I think, not telling people about this opportunity sort of violates being their realtor for life, because you're not counseling them properly.
And you don't have to be an expert. You just got to be able to speak intelligently.
Exactly.
So Bruce, maybe you and our other lending partners could come up with a process of doing a joint communication for the people that are interested, because I think after the workshop, our lending partners are going to be a lot stronger and well versed in the financial return side of it. So maybe we can have some resources from you, Bruce, to help us out. Would that be something you'd be open to?
Of course.
And then I saw Derek, are you on? I think if you speak, you'll come up to the top here, Derek.
Can you hear me?
Yes. All right.
Awesome.
So Derek Adamson is our We Insure rep. And I know a lot of times your accountant will say to buy something in an LLC. And a lot of these type of investments, Bruce, to buy in an LLC create some, what did Ellen say, wrinkles, right? Because it's a lot more challenging to buy in an LLC.
Well, I mean, it's a really, really, really good question. So we have investment product, and then we have retail, regular product that you could get for investment properties. If you buy an investment property and you're going to do it in our commercial division, our commercial group, where we buy it in LLC, there's no issue. But if you're buying it personally, then yeah, there are some issues with the transfer. But I don't know. I met Derek at that holiday party. I think he and I could figure out how to work that out. I'm not too worried about that. We should be able to get people into real estate.
So
Nothing else, an LLC protects it should be an independent LLC for each of the properties so that they're each independently protected.
So the reason why I have Derek on is, like, a lot of times you can insure over that risk, and even the cost of creating the LLC and filing the annual paperwork. And it's been my experience that if you borrow the money in an LLC, your interest rates are generally higher because the marketplace is less available to you. So if you can save 3/4 of a point in the interest, or 1/2 a point on the interest on $400,000, that's $2,000 there, and you probably have to pay $500 a year to keep that LLC active. So for $2,500, you could probably get a whole lot of umbrella coverage and liability insurance, right, Derek?
Yes, sir.
So I will say, I would say that a lot of people that are buying real estate, some people are LLCs, but a lot of people buy it in their own name, and they just get umbrella coverage on it, which is relatively inexpensive, right?
Yeah, we're talking like 150 annual. I've seen up to 500 depending on the property and the entities. So it's very cheap, and it's very simple to write too. It shouldn't take nothing but a couple minutes.
I mean, Derek, you and Trevor, your associate, I have an umbrella policy. I think I have $10 million or $5 million. It was maybe $1,800. It's relatively
so
inexpensive.
if you buy like say $10 million, you're paying thousands of dollars. But to get an umbrella for that same amount that covers everything, you're talking about pennies to the dollar now. So we're talking like, $1,000, even a couple hundred for like a smaller property.
So Derek will make himself available as well for any insurance questions, because some people might say, oh my God, but I have liability here. And, you can educate them on, the requirements and how to navigate through the liability piece.
So Rob, you touched on something really important. The biggest difference, just for people that are not aware of this, we all hear, oh, you can't do the mortgage finance in LLC. The biggest difference between financing an LLC and financing personally is really just rate. So if the property has a better return, then LLC is definitely an option. In addition to that, in LLC scenarios, if the property performs real well, you could put even less money down than if you buy it in your personal name. So that's really the only difference between the two. The rates are higher, but there might be less of a down payment. But other than that, that's the best way to explain it, because they're really very similar.
Right. And
It's a wash.
And what's that?
It's a wash, really.
So
Right.
It's a good return property. If you have a property where it doesn't make sense, then it probably shouldn't be the property you're looking at anyway. Yeah.
So I think, as we go through the workshop, and we're getting close to the time, this mastermind flew by for me today. I don't know if anybody else felt like, I can't believe it's an hour already, but in terms of having the mindset for having these conversations, and I think one of the things, we're salespeople by nature, and I think that we need to, the more that we're assuming that role of a salesperson, okay, the more awkward that conversation is. The more that we're having a conversation saying to you, hey, Ron, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of some of these returns. If you're interested, I can set aside a half an hour and we can do a Zoom meeting and I can give you a couple of examples. And here's the great news. Like, you can take some examples and have them be evergreen, right? And say, hey, here's an example of a condo, what it would look like. Here's an example of a multifamily, what it would look like. If you're interested, what we should do is we should get together, and it's not emotional. We put together the numbers and you buy a house. Okay. When it's buying for yourself, there are a lot more influences to what's going to be acceptable to somebody because you're living in it. Here, you need to separate what you think about the location of the property. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, what's the potential appreciation and what's the cash flow? These are what you need to look at. You don't need to look at what's the color of the siding and, I don't like the way that faces. Okay. It's a different game. So I really think that this can add 25% to your business, and you can be doing a really good thing for people. And you know what? Rates are starting to go up a little bit, but you're going to be glad that you did it now than 2 years ago. And if for some reason interest rates happen to come back down, Bruce, what can we do if interest rates come back down?
Give them some money out of the houses so they can buy more.
And refinance at a lower rate.
That's it.
Because commercial loans, Bruce, often have prepayment penalties, right? And
they really do. Or you're going to pay a real high upfront premium. That's a good point too. That is another big difference between commercial, LLC, and personal. That's a good point, Rob.
So we're taking advantage of, if you're buying a 1 to 4 family, you're taking advantage of all the laws that were made to foster home ownership, and you're taking advantage of it on the investment side, right? It's like kind of sneaking in under the radar, right, Bruce? I mean, you're paying 1.5 points up front or something like that. I saw a question. What's the down payment required on an investment property typically, Bruce?
Anywhere from 10 to 30% down, depending upon how the property performs. But you just brought up another excellent point about, you said, I lost my train of thought because of the question. I'm sorry.
So, well, I was talking about prepayment penalties and homeowner. I mean, these loans are designed to protect homeowners. So you're flying under the radar. If rates go down, okay, you can lower your rate by 1% and your cash flow is still the same, right? So it's like whatever you lock in at is the worst you're ever going to see.
Yeah, that stays fixed. The other thing we do on our investment property fix and flip lines of credit that we offer, we do it all under one LLC. And, we vet the people for 1 year. So they have their investment property fix and flip line of credit for 1 year. That's different than a long-term investment purchase, but it's the same premise. You have, I think something that's really, really important for people to realize here is that this is what I was going to remember, self-employed borrowers, you don't have to show the same amount of income. So the investment property opens up to so many more people than people that have to qualify. I'm not saying you don't qualify to buy investment property, but it's such a different qualification. And I guess we could go over that when we have the seminar, but it's all different. It's nothing like buying a home that you're going to live in. The qualification is completely different.
So as we wrap it up, I see somebody, Deborah, you bought a home in Florida. Congratulations. If you want to, diversify, you buy an investment property here where you can manage it, and you reach out to Colleen, Fazia, Julio, Ron. We have a tremendous team in Florida that can help you buy, and I'm sure they'll have some sort of a preferential referral agreement and VIP treatment for you buying something. That will give you some diversity, and you can take a look at it and share with your clients. Hey, here's what something looks like in Florida. Maybe there are some people here that want to buy in Florida now. Maybe they're going to live there in 10 years, right? And they want to get in before the prices go up. I mean, this game is endless, and it's the beautiful thing is it's not a sales pitch, okay? It's just an education, telling somebody that you care about, hey, I just wanted to make you aware that this was available, because nobody is doing it. Okay. And Bruce, I mean, is Bruce Anthony on?
Thought he was. I think he's on the phone.
Okay, so like
No,
Bruce.
I'm on here. I'm here. Hello.
All right, so Bruce, Anthony, like you and Bruce can maybe have a little bit of a niche in helping agents process these numbers, do a Zoom meeting together. If it makes sense, then they move forward. If not, here's the other thing. Hey, you know what, Derek, I know that this isn't right for you. Do you know anybody that any of your friends or family that might be interested in it, right? Because certainly it's a great cocktail conversation, right? Hey, I had this conversation. You can get 37% on an investment in Florida.
It's interesting. People want to get educated. I mean, most people want to get educated anyway, even if they don't do it. It plants the seed.
I think everyone wants to hear the positives, and I congratulate Rob for this webinar, because it brought a very good point, a vital point that we're facing today in our market, where we can encompass and present our value proposition as realtors, as a company. And to what he mentioned before, the way to go about it is, with Bruce's help and everybody else that's here on the call, is get a presentation going, get something where you can bring people into the office. But I would say bring them into the office versus doing anything on video, because you don't want to give out, our brainstorm to other agents and other companies. So we bring them in, face-to-face conversation, and show them our value proposition. That's going to increase your business tremendously.
The other thing is that Florida, on the Today Show, Florida has the highest rents of anywhere in the country right now. So it's a really good return on investment for people.
Colleen, when it's 8 degrees in New Jersey and you got flowers behind you and you're talking all this positive stuff, we don't want to hear that on a Friday.
I have to tell you, when I saw what the weather was up north, and the people from Florida will tell you, because I tell them this all the time, I went, yes.
Hey, it's cold today. It's 70 degrees out.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, quick question for you guys regarding if any New Jersey agents want to be licensed in Florida, like we may have a place already down there, we have access.
Come on down, we'll be glad to help you.
We have everything here for you. We'll
I don't need to be there. My question is, if I don't necessarily need to be there to do my hours, like, is there an associate, is there an online?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
reach out to us. We'll give you all the information you need.
And just to offer, we have, for all the people in Florida, all the professionals on this call, we also have an office in Safety Harbor, which is Clearwater. So if anybody ever is remote and needing to use some space, just get in touch with your Finance of America rep or myself or Rob, and you're welcome to use our facilities.
And the new one's in Pompano, right, Rob?
Yes.
Yes, we have a new office in Pompano. We have one likely to be coming on in Palm Beach County. And great news, Nick Bailey and Fazia and our regional leadership set up an agreement where if you want to be dual licensed, you can not have to pay the RE/MAX fee in both states. So you pick a primary office, you can get your RE/MAX promotion in another office. If it's one of ours, that's great. If it's a different office that we associate with, we can do that as well. So that's a phenomenal change. That
You're only 10 minutes from Boca, so that works for me.
Yep. So there's a lot of synergy there. So anyway, we're over time here. Mark your calendar for next Tuesday at 11:30 to 1. It's going to be a workshop. Bruce, get as many of your guys together, and we're going to just grind through some numbers. And I'm even going to ask you, if you're motivated, to send me some properties that we can review live on the call.
It's going to be in Zoom, though. You're not doing it live, like in Morristown, maybe?
I can do it live in Morristown. So we'll broadcast it on the Zoom, and I'll be live in one of our locations. So we have a vote for Morristown. I'm all for that. All right.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Have a good
Go.
weekend.
Let's
Bye.
go.
Thank you. Great session.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. Take care.